Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the very first ever State of NAF presented by our NAF leadership team. So today you're going to be hearing from each member of our leadership team, who you can see on this slide here. Um, I'll start with introducing myself. I'm Stephanie Lucas. I'm NAF's VP of Communications. I have worked in nonprofit for over 20 years now. My educational background is in business and strategic communication. I have been with NAF for almost 9 years now. Love it here, love the team that I work with, love the community that we work for. I lead our communications team. So when you call in or you email naf@ataxia.org, or if you're reaching out to us on any of our social media channels, it's my team that's helping you find the information that you're looking for or connecting you with NAF's various resources. So we're also kind of a bit of the behind the scenes department that supports all of our staff here at NAF, helping them get the word out about any of their programs. So if they have something that they need on the website or shared by email or on social media, we're kind of working in tandem with them. And then to set the stage for today, we want today to be an opportunity for you to kind of peek behind the curtain at NAF here and understand where we're at now, where we're headed over the next few years. So we'll start with Andrew giving us kind of a brief look at 2025 and a rundown of our brand new 3-year strategic plan. And then after that, you're going to hear from each department lead, who can give you more insight into the road ahead for their departments. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Andrew Rosen, our Chief Executive Officer, to kick us off.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Steph. Yes, my name is Andrew Rosen. I have the privilege of being the CEO of NAF. I'm coming up on my 7-year anniversary right around the time of our annual Ataxia conference. And as the staff hears me say all the time, this is the best job I've ever had. I've been in nonprofit work about 20 years. I very much think of myself as simply the general manager of a small business. I have a business background, and I think that's the best way to run nonprofits. But what makes this job so great is not only this team that I get to work with, but you all, the community that we support. It motivates us every day, and I feel very honored to be in the role. So I want to start just a little bit with what is core to all nonprofits, right? Our vision and mission. We talk all the time about how we'd love to put ourselves out of business, right? That's that vision, a world without ataxia. But until that time, we very much focus on our mission to accelerate the development of treatments and a cure while working to improve the lives of those living with ataxia. That's the research and support side of everything we do. I just want to comment on our core values a little bit. The staff put together in the last several years, and they're the values that really sort of drive us as a staff and drive all of the hiring we do. We've hired a lot of people in the last 5 years or so. We're hiring a whole bunch more. You're going to hear more about that coming up. We've had very little turnover in the staff through this period, and we're proud of that. We're proud of our culture. And so that's what these core values really get at. So now let's spend just a moment recapping 2025 from a financial perspective. So first off, I can tell you that 2025 was a record-setting year for NAF. We received a remarkable anonymous major gift early in the year, which helped push our total annual revenue to more than $10 million for the first time in our history. That's a big number, and we're excited about it. Even without that major anonymous gift that we received, we've doubled our revenue in the past 3 years. And I just want to say thank you to all of you for that. Many of you are a part of that. Our organic growth and this amazing anonymous gift allows us to invest really substantially in our programming, and that's what you're going to hear a lot more about coming up here. As I mentioned, we really cover both research and education and service in our mission. That's the support side. We obviously try to make sure we're only investing in the most impactful programming. So let's take a look at a few statistics from this past year. So lots of numbers on this slide. I'm just going to point out a few. Almost 700 support group meetings occurred in 2025. We have more than 60 support groups spread across the country. Many meet live, right, in person. I'm sure many of you are parts of those. Some meet only online, but almost 700 times you guys all came together to help each other, to support each other. It's really the lifeblood of our work, and they're all volunteer driven. And again, some of you may be support group leaders on this call. We thank you for that. We averaged about 5 webinars per month on all things ataxia. If you haven't seen our webinars, go to our website, search, and they're all there to watch on demand whenever you like. They're really amazing. We get the top ataxia folks in the world to talk, and they're really remarkable. And then lastly, I just want to point out we conducted almost 100 congressional meetings in 2025. Lots of these are on live on Capitol Hill. Some are virtual from our Hill Day, but we had a lot of meetings raising important issues for the disabled community, the rare disease community, and the ataxia community. And we're going to continue to push our advocacy work, and you're going to hear more about that coming up. Let's talk a little bit about the feedback that you all provided us and why that's so important. In 2025, we did a community survey. We basically asked you all what you thought of our work and what's important to you. Um, Many of you on this call may have participated. Almost 700 of you responded. And you can see some of the things on this slide. I won't go into a lot of detail here because you're going to hear more about them, but it was your feedback that really became the roadmap to our new 3-year strategic plan that we're really excited about. So you're going to be hearing more from each of the department heads coming up about the plan and what they're focused on for 2026. I mentioned that major anonymous gift. We're going to spend about $1.2 million of that gift in 2026 focused on enhanced programming, and the rest of that gift we'll spend in the coming years. We're super excited about what that means for our programming. That gift has really allowed us to accelerate some things, right? So let's talk a little bit now about the strategic plan. 4 key pillars, right? Not surprising, support and research, which really get at the fundamentals of our mission. We've talked about how important advocacy is, and then development, right? We somehow have to fund all of this great work. We went through, I can tell you, I've done lots of strategic plans in my career, both in the corporate world as well as nonprofit. I have never been through a more thorough, detailed strategic planning process that incorporated not only our staff and our board, but you all in the community as well. With this additional funding that I mentioned from our anonymous donor, this is our by far our most ambitious plan yet. And we're really excited about sharing more of it. You're going to hear more of it in the coming minutes. We're gonna now go into each of the goals a little bit. Let's start. We're going to start with our support goal, and I'll turn it over to Kyle Billadou, who's our VP of Operations and Community Services. Kyle.
Thanks, Andrew. Hi, everybody. I'm Kyle, and I've been at NAF here for almost 6 years. And in my role, I work with 2 departments, community services and finance. Today, I'm really excited to tell you about the support pillar of our strategic plan because this is an area where I think NAF really shines. When you think about what brings families to NAF in the first place, like when you had to come to us in the first place, maybe it's you or someone got diagnosed with ataxia, or you have a family member that gets diagnosed. So you go online, you search like we all do, and then you find us. That moment is so important because your first question probably isn't about clinical trials or research pipelines. It's probably a lot more immediate. It's what happens now. And that's what our support pillar is all about. While research is always working toward that cure for tomorrow, support is about the ataxia community's lived experience today. We're trying to meet people right where they are when you're searching for connection, for answers, or just somebody who gets it. And here's the thing about support, it's never one and done. Somebody might come to us newly diagnosed looking for basic information. Then they come back with different questions as their needs change. So that's why our goal is to deliver a support system that'll meet the needs of the ataxia community at every stage. Looking ahead now to 2026, let's talk a little bit how we're going to do that. And yes, this plan did take months to develop and had so much participation. It took a lot of time, but we think we've made some really good choices and investments here. So everything you see on this slide is about removing barriers, and that's so important. It's barriers to information, barriers to connection, and barriers to care. So to do that, we're making four key investments in 2026 from that anonymous gift. First up, and this is something we're really excited about, we're bringing professional social work support directly into our support groups. In 2024, we hired our first licensed social worker, Carrie Brooks, who's our community services coordinator and manages our support group program. A lot of you have probably interacted with Carrie. And then late last year, we brought on a second licensed social worker, Barbara Cox, as our community services manager. Barbara is launching something brand new for us, placing social workers with local ties to work directly with our support groups across the country. So our goal for 2026 is to have social workers servicing 20 support groups by the end of the year. And these aren't NAF employees. These are licensed professionals in communities where our support groups meet. They'll be there to provide guidance that goes beyond what peer support can offer. You can think about it this way. Peer support is incredibly valuable, such as talking with someone who understands what the daily challenges of what you live with ataxia. But sometimes you need a little professional help navigating insurance or understanding community resources or planning for the future. And this initiative will help bridge that gap. Next, the AAC. AAC is led by Lori Sjogren, our Community Services Senior Director, who you'll hear from in a little bit. And Lori directs our AAC with incredible care and passion each year. And then year after year, people tell us it's life-changing. There's something powerful about being in a room with hundreds of other people who understand your experience. You're not explaining yourself. You're not the only one. You belong. But here's the reality. Not everybody can afford to travel. So we've decided to do something about it. For 2026, we increased our travel grants from $800 to $1,000. We're covering complimentary AAC registration. And if you need a caregiver to travel with you, we're covering their transportation and registration too. Last year, we helped almost 60 people attend AAC through travel grants. This year, with these enhanced resources, we want to help even more. Our goal is pretty simple. Turn "I wish I could go" into "I'll see you there." Next, our website redesign. And Andrew already mentioned this. Honestly, you told us to do this because in the community survey last year, this really came loud and clear as a high priority for us. And here's why this matters. Picture somebody at 2 a.m, can't sleep, just got diagnosed, overwhelmed, scared. They type ataxia into Google. We want them to find NAF. And more importantly, we want them to find what they need when they get here. Our website, as you can imagine, has grown tremendously over the last 5 or 6 years as we've grown as an organization. So we're constantly adding new webinar recordings, fact sheets, serving more people. It's time for an update that can handle everything that we do now and everything that we want to do next. And finally, none of this happens without people. We've added 3 new team members to our community services and communications departments just recently, specifically to support you. I already mentioned Barbara Cox. We've also brought on Courtney Backup as our community services associate. Courtney's managing our AAC travel grant program this year, among other projects, and splitting her time with advocacy, which you'll hear more about in a few minutes. And we also added Hannah Weldon as our communications associate. When you call or email NAF, there's a good chance you'll connect with Hannah, who helps answer your requests along with the other members of our communications team. And just a quick mention that both Hannah and Courtney were interns with NAF before they were hired. So we really appreciate the chance to get new people in that are young and coming right out of school and coming into a great job here with NAF. So here's what it all comes down to. The support pillar is about making sure that when someone finds NAF, which is often at a moment where there's real fear or uncertainty, they don't just find information. They'll find understanding, they find connection, they find hope, and they find people ready to help them answer that fundamental question: what happens now? And now I'll turn it over to Lauren Moore, our CSO and Vice President of Research.
Hi, thanks, Kyle. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very excited to join you all today to share little updates about what's been going on with our research programs, as well as tell you a little bit about where we are headed in the future. So first, a little about me. My name is Lauren Moore, and I've been lucky enough to be the Chief Scientific Officer and leading the research department here at NAF for just over 4 years now. I do come from a Ataxia research background, having done a PhD in neuroscience, really focusing on the development of new novel treatments for genetic ataxias. And I also happen to have come from a family that's impacted by one of the many ataxia types that are within NAF's umbrella. I know the experience of having multiple family members from different generations that are experiencing different stages of this disease. And so I like to think that I bring my unique perspective as both a researcher and family member of someone with ataxia to my job every day. I'm also really lucky to work within a fantastic team here at NAF. A research team has four other really brilliant women who join me in driving forward our research programs every day. And we are very excited to be expanding our team by hopefully hiring 2 additional members in the coming year. So my goal every day when I come to work is try to push us a little bit closer to the development of real life-saving treatments for ataxia. For over 60 years now, we have funded individual ataxia projects that have inevitably led to countless breakthroughs within ataxia research. However, I think our biggest impact that we can have here at NAF is by strengthening the infrastructure that makes the continued discovery of new treatments and better understanding of ataxia possible. So, thus, our NAF's overarching research strategy is to accelerate research progress by building the infrastructure necessary to fast track the discovery of treatments and a cure. We do this in multiple ways. So first, we are working really hard to strengthen the ataxia clinical infrastructure. So that means working to expanding our national and international network of ataxia clinics and providing support and resources to these physicians and care partners around the world. It's really important to us that every patient can have access to expert care and in an ideal world, participate in research close to home. We continue to collect regulatory grade natural history data. This may sound a bit technical, but it's absolutely essential to the development of new treatments. We know that high quality natural history data is what tells us how ataxia progresses over time, but more importantly, it gives regulators and industry partners the evidence they need to design and improve clinical trials for future potential treatments. So NAF has helped to sponsor one of the longest running natural history studies for over a decade now, and we know that this has directly impacted how clinical trials are being run today. We're working really hard to expand the trial-ready ataxia community. You may have noticed that the number of webinars that NAF hosts has expanded immensely over the last 5 years. We're trying our hardest to make it easier to learn about research opportunities, join registries, and participate in studies when the right trials become available. And finally, we're seeding discovery and innovation across all ataxia types. And I do want to put the focus on all ataxia types because progress must reach every part of this diverse community. We know that within NAF's umbrella, we are representing over 300 different types of ataxias, as well as thousands of families that are impacted by these. So we have to do everything we can to try to move progress forward across all of these diseases simultaneously. So I would just summarize this slide by saying that our priorities are trying to build a research and ecosystem with the goal of moving the field faster and trying to attract partners and deliver results to families like mine who are still waiting. So now let me share a little bit about what this looks like in practice as we look ahead to 2026. So thanks to our generous donors, we are really excited to be able to invest an additional $435,000 this year towards improving our existing research programs and even more excitedly initiating new programs that I think are going to have a big impact on the field. So I mentioned that we've focused a lot on trying to strengthen our ataxia clinical network. And one of the ways that we've done this is through creating a program to train the next generation of specialists. We have now provided specialty training for over 200 early career physicians over the past 4 years to prepare them to become the next generation of ataxia clinical leaders. This is through our ataxia clinical training program, and you can see a picture of our cohort from last year and our special guest, Bill Nye, who dropped in and made these Doctors' Day. But I think this program is particularly important because it ensures that not only more access to better care today, but it has will lead to a stronger pipeline of clinicians and researchers for the future. And we are really excited to host our next cohort of already almost 60 individuals at our next Ataxia clinical training program that will be taking place in Orlando in a couple months. You also may have seen that last week we announced 9 additional clinics that have received the designation of being a NAF Ataxia Center of Excellence. We now have designated over 40 centers around the world that have demonstrated their ability to provide truly comprehensive and expert care for patients, and also have provided evidence that they are ready and willing to participate in clinical trials. And this has led NAF to be able to help link these centers with drug companies as they start to plan their clinical trials moving forward. We are also going to be investing quite a bit in trying to improve our natural history study data with the goal of facilitating future clinical trials. This means working towards enhancing our data quality, expanding participation, and making sure our data sets meet the standards required for regulatory and industry use. In 2025, NAF sponsored almost 450 research visits at centers around the US and Canada. This is the highest number of annual visits since the study began over a decade ago. I'm guessing that there are actually a number of individuals who are joining us here on this call who have participated in CRCSCA or other research studies. So I want to thank all of you for your contributions to research. They really do have big impacts in moving the field forward. I also want to highlight that through partnerships with NIH, we have led, this study has also contributed to building one of the largest biorepositories of ataxia patient biofluids. So I'm talking about blood and CSF and other samples collected from patients. These are being stored at a specific laboratory through the NIH and are made available to researchers around the world and have already been used to help catalyze new discoveries and better plan ataxia clinical trials in the future. We think that this project is extremely important in building a strong infrastructure, collecting this high quality data that will help us design better trials, and then it also makes ataxia a more attractive and feasible area for biotech and pharmaceutical partners to invest in. We're going to continue to seed discovery and innovation across all ataxia types, but I'm particularly excited about a new program that will aim to expand our investment in research infrastructure specifically. This year, we plan to invest over $1 million. This is the largest we've spent on our annual grant program ever to support early stage ideas and high risk, high reward science with the hopes that this may lead to entirely new therapeutic approaches. But the new program that I'm excited to announce is the building of a library of ataxia patient cell lines. So what does that mean? Coming from ataxia research myself, I know that patient cell lines, so these are samples given by patients that then are turned into cell lines that can then be grown theoretically indefinitely within a laboratory and shared across multiple laboratories to support research. Specifically, human patient cell lines are really the gold standard for understanding diseases like ataxia and testing potential therapies. However, when you look across the field, there are many types of ataxia that do not have cell lines that are readily available for researchers to get access to, bring into their labs, and to support their research. To try to remove some of these barriers to ataxia research, we'll be launching a new initiative this year to make disease-specific cell lines across the wide spectrum of ataxia and ataxia-related disorders more readily available. So this means partnering with open access biorepositories that are already being used by researchers around the world to facilitate the collection of samples from patients and the creation of these cell lines, and then the open access sharing of them to researchers around the world. So you'll be hearing more about that this year and in years to come. We're continuing to increase our patient engagement in ataxia research. Um, like I said, we have really expanded the number of webinars and resources on our website and plan to continue to do that. In 2025, we hosted more than 30 webinars aimed at providing credible information directly from experts to help individuals understand their disease and learn about ongoing research opportunities and research progress. This work is also really important to help catalyze further industry investment in ataxia research, showing that we can get patients engaged and educated and advocating for themselves within research really is a strong selling point when it comes to talking to drug companies about why they should enter this space. Last year, we worked with drug companies to support 10 research studies that were aimed at better understanding the ataxia patient community and to help those companies prepare for their own future clinical trials. We know that meaningful progress only happens when patients and families are true partners in research, and helping to shape studies and sharing their experiences really helps to move the field forward. So in short, our research strategy for the coming year is focused on building momentum, strengthening the foundation, and growing partnerships, both old and new. We want to make sure that the ataxia community is ready for the next wave of clinical trials and treatments, and that all of the drug companies out there know it and are ready to partner with us as well. None of this is possible without your support. So, on behalf of the entire research team, thank you for being part of this mission. And with that, I'll turn the virtual mic over to my colleague, Lori Sjogren.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Hello, I'm Lori Sjogren, NAF's Community Services Senior Director, and I've had the pleasure of working for the National Ataxia Foundation for over 20 years, leading our support and advocacy programs. Today, I'm thrilled to talk about the investments being made to grow NAF's advocacy program. For those of you new to advocacy, advocacy is championing the patient voice. Advocacy is how we ensure the lived experiences of people with ataxia influences decisions made far beyond our organization. Your stories have already resulted in significant advocacy accomplishments. Those accomplishments include the National Ataxia Awareness Day Senate resolution and ataxia being included in the Congressionally Directed Medical Research Program, or CDMRP for short. Inclusion in the CDMRP has resulted in over $37 million in recommended funding for ataxia research. We must advocate to members of Congress for not only the Senate resolution, but also the inclusion in the CDMRP every year. So as federal research funding like the CDMRP, drug development pathways, and disability policies evolve, ataxia risks being overlooked without a strong, organized voice. So this pillar and NAF's strategic plan reflects a deliberate shift from reactive advocacy to proactive strategic engagement with all stakeholders, who include patients, families, clinicians, researchers, and industry. The investment in this work ensures that ataxia is represented alongside other rare diseases at critical decision-making tables. These objectives that you see here guide where we invest time, partnerships, and community energy. Addressing these objectives requires monitoring, relationship building, and timely action. But most importantly, we need you to help us reach our goal to strengthen NAF's influence so ataxia is consistently included in policy conversations. Our success is measured not just by meetings held with members of Congress, but by awareness raised, relationships built, and policies shaped. So looking ahead to 2026, this slide is showing how strategy turns into action and how NAF is building sustainable advocacy capacity. Developing a stronger voice on Capitol Hill means consistent presence, follow-up, and trusted relationships, not just annual visits. With this increase in investment in our staff and travel capacity, we will be attending more meetings with government agencies, coalition events, in addition to congressional briefings and hearings to move forward treatment development initiatives. For example, next month, we will be spending Rare Disease Week in Washington, D.C., meeting with the FDA, attending a Senate hearing for rare diseases, and joining other rare disease advocates in in-person congressional meetings. We will also continue to focus on mobilizing advocates nationwide, empowering them with tools, training, opportunities to take action, and timely information, ensuring that our community is prepared and confident to speak up when it matters most. Like during our annual Hill Day. Last year, 169 Ataxia advocates came together in 99 congressional meetings for our Hill Day that we hold in partnership with the Friedrich's Ataxia Research Alliance, also known as FARA. In addition to continuing our valued partnership with FARA, we're also actively increasing our involvement with other rare disease coalitions to ensure ataxia is part of collective advocacy efforts. Lastly, more media outreach helps bring ataxia into the public conversation. That's supporting both our policy goals and broader awareness. These investments are designed to scale advocacy without burning out our valued volunteers. Advocacy success depends on the infrastructure we are building with clear messaging, coordinated action, and long-term engagement. So we invite you to join our advocacy mailing list to stay informed about ways to get involved and make your voice heard. We'll post a link for you to join in the chat, and we look forward to advocating with all of you. Thank you. Over to you, Joel.
All right. Hey, thanks so much, Lori. I appreciate the brief introduction. My name is Joel Sutherland, and I'm the Vice President of Development here at the National Ataxia Foundation. And in March, I thought it was a big number. I'm going to be here for 10 years, but Lori pretty much nails that. Lori's been here over 20 years, so tip of the cap to Lori. But I'm certainly proud of my 10 years here. And I know there's somebody on this call today that's thinking, God, that was a fast 10 years, Joel. And then there's some like, you're still here? I know some of you are out there. But hey, I'm proud to lead a team of three others on the development team here. John Wegman, Meg Hanna, and Rich McCutcheon. I'm sure there's some of you many of you have touched base with any one of them on some of your plans and the events that you've run throughout the country over the last number of years. So I'm very proud to work with that team. I also do want to take a time and thank you all, as Andrew did early on. Certainly in the area of development, it mandates relationships like the folks we have on this call today to help fund our programming. So large or small, one-time giving, recurring gifts, whatever, you're really a big part of this mission, and I want to thank you. For the sake of this conversation, in terms of philanthropy, I want to kind of define what we talk about, what we mean by philanthropy. We have a number of revenue items that we've managed on an annual basis, and primarily unrestricted funding that comes in through some of our program, like our annual fund, which you may know as Accelerate. It's something we started 4 years ago. We had a $1 million plan in place to deliver on February 22nd of 2026. We're about a month out, but things are looking good. Our summer matching gift program that we started in 2017. Our individual giving is part of our philanthropic budget. Sponsorship dollars from our industry partners who come in and support AAC, ACT, and a lot of our programming here. Our national events and our walk and rolls. You know, our walk and roll is a true staple that we've had here for decades, right? Well, for 2025, our budgeted goal for that philanthropic number was $1.9 million. And I'm pleased to tell you today that number came in at a little bit north of $2.4 million. You see, NAF is on a roll. We've got so many good things going on here, from everything you heard from Kyle and Lauren and Lori and Andrew and Kyle. So many good things happening, and the same things going on here in development. So you dovetail that with our 3-year strategic plan that we embarked on this past fall. And you can see there through our objective in meeting with board members and other members of our leadership team here. Our objective is $4 million in organic growth to get to by 2029. Truly organic growth, truly bullish when you realize that we were planning on a $2 million budget for this year. So basically, we're looking at least doubling our efforts by 2029. But even more interesting is our aspirational goal of $6.5 million. So, what's going to help us to reach these goals? Well, how about this picture? I'm sure some of you, maybe many of you, know that this past October, 21 of us embarked on a hike from the South Rim, from the top of the South Rim to the Colorado River, in an effort to raise funds. 21 people made a pledge to raise $10,000 throughout the year. Our goal was to raise $200,000. Well, when it was all said and done, this event captured more than $346,000. It was an amazing experience, and we thought we'd do well with it. We were certainly with the pledges that we received, but $346,000 is something that we need to repeat, right? But this is just one of the many tools that we can use to reach our goals. We're going to certainly stay with our high impact events like our extreme hike. In fact, the dates are already being set for the 9th, 10th, and 11th of October, and perhaps you or somebody you may know would want to be a part of that. It was certainly a memorable and a meaningful event for us. But you know what? We're also going to be maintaining and working with all of our volunteers across the country to support our walk and roll campaigns. Like I said earlier, it's been a staple of NAF for such a long time. We're going to continue to work on our passion fundraising events, albeit a biking event in Northern California, to volleyball in Rhode Island, bowling in Wisconsin, a Mardi Gras celebration in Baton Rouge, and pickleball in St. Louis. We're going to continue to do these things to raise as much money as we can and as fast as we can. But we're also going to introduce some other and do a deeper dive with some of our folks on some opportunities. Qualified charitable donations, where folks who are 70 and a half years of age or older can take up to $100,000 out of any investment funding and donate it without having a taxable event. Talk to folks about donor advised funds. And by all means, spread the word about online letter writing campaigns where all we need are 3 sentences from a member of our community. We'll put it into a fundraising page and have them hit send. We'd like to make it as easy as we can for them. But make no mistake, moving forward, our big position, our big move, our focus is going to be on major gifts. And major gifts doesn't necessarily mean major dollars, but what it does mean is deeper relationships. We're going to need more people to go and engage with more of our donor community, go and listen to our donor community, and find ways to invite them into opportunities where their generosity can really have transformational impact, right? And all of this is going to mean that this development team is going to expand as well. So there's a lot of good things going on here. We have some big goals coming for us. We know we need to raise as much money as we can, and we know speed's important. And we know we're going to have to grow our team. So with that, let's take a look at the investment opportunities that we're going to be putting forth. And to really give it a real good look, let me bring back our CEO, Andrew Rosen. Andrew?
Thanks, Joel. Appreciate it. So I'm just going to wrap things up here for us. The slide in front of you that you're looking at shows you our investment history here over the past 5 years, and you're going to see that we're going to invest more in 2026 than we ever have before. And we hope that that number is going to continue to rise. You all are the ones that make that possible. You've heard about how ambitious this new 3-year strategic plan is. We really need your continued support to deliver on all that the plan covers. But again, I'm here to tell you that your foundation is in a very strong financial position. You've just heard from what I think is the best leadership team in the business. I can't tell you how bullish I am about our work and about the future of your foundation. So just to wrap things up here, we've talked a lot about our bold plan today, and we really are focused on the things that we think will have the highest impact for you all. Your financial support makes our work possible. I think you've heard that time and time again, and we can't say thank you enough. There's so many ways to be involved. We hope you'll maybe find one in 2026 and join us. Your voice, your feedback is really what has shaped this new 3-year strategy. So I mentioned the community survey. We are always open to feedback. We're going to get to some Q&A here in a minute, but we're always open to your suggestions, your concerns, things that you hope we might be able to do. We want to hear it from you, so please keep it coming. Together, we're really going to move this mission forward. So with that, we'll wrap things up. I will invite the leadership team back on camera, and we can open it up for some Q&A. We have about at least 15 minutes here. If we've got questions, we can answer. So thanks all for coming. It's been great to present to you.
All right. Let's see. Paul, asking this early so it's not missed and maybe covered. I would like to know what NAF is doing to raise the awareness of ataxia and what are they doing to get involved more with international.
I think that was international groups. Steph froze there for a minute.
Yep,
So I will
international.
answer. I was gonna let Steph answer the awareness building, but I'll step in for her. So listen, we've we're investing money now in building our brand and building awareness for ataxia around the world. I think maybe the highlight, Steph, sorry you froze. I'm jumping in here for you, but certainly one of the highlights of 2025 was our work with Bill Nye the Science Guy. Hopefully you've seen the videos that he's put out both around general ataxia awareness as well as the recent campaign for Friedreich's ataxia that he did with our friends from Biogen. They are terrific. They get thousands and thousands of views. We laugh that, we when we put a video up, we hope it gets hundreds of views. When Bill's videos go up, they get millions of views. And so that's moving the needle. I hear it all the time. I'm out in meetings and someone will be like, "Oh, you guys are working with Bill Nye." That stuff matters. And so we're thrilled about that partnership that we hope will continue well into the future. Steph, is there anything else you want to comment on in terms of awareness building?
I think the second part of that question was about working with international groups. I think Lori could probably speak to that the best. We do a lot of collaborations with both national and international groups. Lori, do you have any thoughts on our international collaborations?
Sure. Certainly our largest collaboration is between our partners, the Friedreich's Ataxia Research Alliance and Ataxia UK on our biannual International Congressional Ataxia Researcher meeting. And that's a huge collaboration that we do between those organizations. I mentioned our collaboration with the Friedreich's Ataxia Research Alliance, also on our Hill Day and other ataxia initiatives. Certainly, in terms of Canada, we do have a support group in Canada, and we'd be happy to partner with any organizations in Canada on ataxia initiatives there that are taking place. And then also, we also partner with other organizations within the rare disease space, such as MDA, which is the Muscular Dystrophy Association, and also the Huntington's Disease Society of America, and others on rare disease and moving rare disease initiatives forward, and also in producing education for the rare disease community like ataxia. And any other initiatives that anybody else wanted to highlight within our space?
Oh, Paul also asked about Ataxia Canada. And I do know that we're connected with them. Our colleague Celeste is on the call, but she's not on camera. So I don't know he asked what's planned with them. I don't know exactly what's planned with them, but we are connected and work very closely with them as well. Quick question, are the slides and recording going to be distributed? Yes, and very soon, probably before the end of the week. So we'll get those emailed out to everybody. Let's see. Many countries look at the FDA for medical approvals. What is NAF able to do and is hoping to do to influence the FDA? Good question. Andrew and Lauren.
Yeah, I can, I'll start there. Yeah, it's a great question. And as you may all know, it's been quite a 2025 for the Food and Drug Administration. Lots of change happening. It's frankly difficult to know what direction sometimes the agency is taking right now, which does make it challenging for both patient advocacy organizations as well as drug sponsors. That said, we continue to build our relationships at the FDA. Lori mentioned we're going to be in a meeting with them during Rare Disease Week at the end of February. Lauren Moore, our Chief Scientific Officer, is in continuing discussion with them about how the tools that NAF provides, for instance, our natural history study and the data that that study generates that can be used by drug sponsors for clinical trials, how that data can be what we would call regulatory grade, right? So that the FDA is going to accept that data as a comparator set, for instance, for a clinical trial. So I think we continue to work closely with them. We walk that, I'll be honest, we kind of try to walk that fine line of being, we certainly want to be supportive and work closely with them, but at times we feel like there are times where being critical also of some of the things that we've seen. I think sometimes we get frustrated as well as I think other, especially rare disease patient advocacy groups with sometimes what they say publicly is not necessarily what we see them doing at a drug at an application specific level. So it's a little bit of both, but it's an important relationship for NAF, and we're going to continue to build it.
So I'm going to actually go back to Paul's question because Celeste reached out to me while we were answering that last one. In regards to Ataxia Canada, we have done several webinars
Done
with
several
them this
webinars.
year, and
Oh,
we
really?
also partner with their lobbying efforts to the CDA slash INESSS. INESS, I don't know how I was supposed to say it.
Right.
So that's just a bit more information on.
And I'll also comment that Ataxia Canada helps support collection of natural history data from one of our Canadian sites. So we really appreciate their participation there. And contributions.
Kicks me all the way out that time.
All right, Steph, you're back. Do you want to hit us up with another one?
Yes. Is there a way to coordinate all the walk and rolls for the same day to raise greater awareness?
I think it sounds like a great idea. The logistics behind that would be tremendously difficult. As far as locations, I think we can make an effort to get folks to maybe zero in on one or two. But with the number of walks that we currently have, it'd be a real challenge. But always willing to take a look and see if somebody has some ideas. I think that'd be something we'd have to take a long look at over a couple of years to try to turn that around and get things on the same date. But thanks
We
for the
did do,
question, Adam.
Joel, one thing
Yeah,
I might add, we did do a sort of an online version of a
yeah, a
national walk
virtual.
and
Yeah,
roll
yeah,
several years back. This was
yeah.
I think during COVID actually, when
Correct.
no one was getting together physically. That's certainly something we could look at again for those that maybe don't have a walk and roll in
In
their
there,
community and in a way to participate. But
absolutely.
love the creative thinking, and
Yeah.
it we'll bat it about here internally.
Adam, give me a call.
This next one is probably going to be one for Lauren and Andrew, maybe a bit of Lori too. What has been the impact of contraction of federal funds for research, and how has NAF responded?
So I'll start
Yeah.
uh, responding to that one. So, as many of you may or may not know, NAF does not receive federal funding. So, in terms of reduction in research funding from the federal government, we haven't been directly impacted at the foundation. However, we know that many of our researchers that we fund and collaborate with have been. So, we did a survey last year when some of the initial reductions were being made, and many were commenting saying that they had planned to hire someone and they decided not to hire someone because they weren't sure about funds. There were people who thought that they were going to get grant funding and then weren't able to actually be funded when it actually came time. And there also has been a great reduction in the number of folks who are scoring very well on grants who are actually getting the grant funding. So we are seeing a reduction in direct impact to individuals in our community. And we also, I can say that the number of grants that NAF has received this year increased. And I think that is a reflection of reduction in funding from other more traditional funding sources.
Yeah,
And
the
Laura,
only
maybe
other
I'll
thing I might add is that, and Lori mentioned this, the success in having hereditary ataxia included in the congressionally directed medical research program is a big deal, right? It has funded, I think Lori said $37 million worth of ataxia research in the last 3 years. That is much more, as you know, than we and FARA and frankly any other nonprofit in the US can do combined. And so we continue to work on that. It will be very much part of we're just heading into appropriations season right now in Washington, D.C. We will be hitting up our the members of Congress who have supported us in the past, as well as some new ones, about making sure that ataxia stays on the list. It's an annual process we have to go through. Frankly, it's kind of a pain, but we do it because it's really important. And that's one way that we can continue to support ataxia research, even in a federal environment that isn't so favorable at the moment.
Thanks, guys. Lauren, I've got two questions that I'm just going to roll into one. Are you working on any trials, and does NAF have plans to support stem cell research?
So I'll take the trial ones first. So I would say that, and I think Andrew would agree, it's been a record number of companies that we've spoken to in the last year. I think I have 50 to 60 different companies on my list that are in various stages of either entering the ataxia field, starting to develop treatments, or are moving towards clinical trials. There are several trials that are ongoing right now within the ataxia field. Some of those are in the most common dominantly inherited diseases, so such as SCA1, SCA2, and SCA3. Friedreich's ataxia, of course, has multiple trials ongoing, but there have been a number of companies that at least that we've spoken to that are working on other ataxia types and moving towards the development of treatments and the clinical trial process. We are very much engaged with many of these companies, especially early on as we talk about clinical trial design, identifying trial sites, helping to give information about the patient experience and making sure that the patient voice is included in these clinical trials, and especially working with companies who are interested in better understanding the patient experience and patient voice so that they can appropriately design clinical trials. So like I said, last year we partnered to run, I think it was about 10 different studies that weren't quite clinical trials, but were being driven by drug companies as they plan for future clinical trials. There's a number of websites and resources on our page that talk about the status of drug development. And I'm sure one of my wonderful colleagues will be throwing some of those links in the chat as we speak. In terms of stem cells, I said earlier that patient-derived cell lines are really the gold standard for understanding disease and testing treatments. And stem cells are certainly included in that. There are many different types of stem cells. The types of stem cells that are most commonly used are called induced pluripotent stem cells. Those are cells usually taken from skin or other sources and then reprogrammed. Those are very, very commonly used in many different laboratories around the world right now. And we have certainly funded research that included the use of these induced pluripotent stem cells. To date, we have not funded any studies that have worked with human embryonic stem cell lines, which may be a bit more controversial. It's not to say that we may not fund them in the future, but the projects that we've funded to date have not included human embryonic stem cells. These induced pluripotent stem cells are much easier to get access to and are being reprogrammed from individuals who are diagnosed. Yeah, we are certainly funding stem cell research.
Thank you. Joel and Andrew, this may be a question for you. If you were able to raise funds to a targeted research project on a specific form of ataxia, is this a possibility, and is there a pathway or contact to reach out with? Thinking in terms of 50 to 100K.
Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, the
I'll
answer
let
is
you-
yeah.
you
The
bet.
answer is yes. And we've done that already for certain types of ataxia where a donor has approached us, been able to either have the funds themselves or raise them through their community. And then we target that toward a specific grant that Lauren and her team manage. So if you're interested in doing that, certainly reach out to Andrew at ataxia.org or Lauren at ataxia.org as a first starting point. But we'd be more than happy to discuss that with you, and you would not be the first to do it. We'd love
Right.
it. It allows us to spread our research dollars even further. And Lauren and her team have an amazing process in place for evaluating grants. We use hundreds of people literally around the world to evaluate our grants. These are the leading attacks experts. So would love to have more resources to give more grant money away.
All right. Thank you. Next question. So Lori, we got an AAC, virtual AAC question here. Will you use a better platform for the virtual AAC? The first one was great.
Sure. Well, love the feedback about the first platform that we use virtually. That was in 2020. And as you may have remembered, we all had to go to a virtual only conference because of the COVID pandemic. And that was a great platform. So I love to hear that feedback. Although it's a very expensive platform, costing about just as much as our in-person conference provides. So the investment in going to use that program would double our costs of our annual Ataxia conference. And we want to keep our virtual conference as affordable and accessible as possible. So keeping it at an affordable cost of $50 with the addition of having the registration scholarships available keeps our virtual conference affordable. And with the virtual conference, you do have access as a virtual attendee to see live streamed sessions, in addition to our virtual Vibes Hub, which is a Zoom session that brings together all of our virtual attendees into a virtual room. So if you are interested in gathering with other virtual attendees and talking about the conference or just connecting with others that are in a shared journey, feel free to stay tuned to find out what our virtual Vibes Hub hours is. And then also you'll also have access to our links to our exhibitors and other information as well as a virtual attendee. So, but happy to take other questions about the AAC or virtual access to the conference.
All right. Lauren, how do we get into the ataxia patient cell line study?
Yeah, so that is a great question. It's kind of hot off the press that all of our funding for new initiatives was recently approved. And so these projects are really just getting underway. This is something that I'm going to be growing over the next year and then announcing to individuals. We'll be identifying laboratories where patients can donate samples. We'll be working with Joel to see if folks want to sponsor specific disease cell line collection and derivation. So there'll be more to come on this. And certainly we'll let the community know once the study is up and running and have ways for folks to get involved if they either want to donate tissue or cells or participate in sponsoring this research.
Thank you. I know we're a little past time, but we only have a few more, so we might as well finish these out. Adam asks, is there a book library for good books about ataxia? We do have a page on our site of if a community member has written a book and they send it to us, it's on this page. I think Molly can pop that link into the chat or to Noah. But it's not all inclusive. We only list the things that people send to us to be listed, so you can check that out. Joel and Andrew, what is being done to approach the billionaires of the world to contribute to NAF funding?
Well, go ahead. Yeah, no, I do know there's an effort. There's a certain business philosophy called venture philanthropy that we have embarked on with some member of our board of directors. And there have been some organizations that have been very successful with this approach, and that is on the plate right now to target this type of opportunity. It's not gone unnoticed whatsoever. Something we've recently embarked on, but something's getting full attention. Andrew?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if whoever asked that question happens to know any billionaires, feel free to send them our way. It's not easy, folks, right? I mean,
Yeah.
these people get approached, as you can imagine, with every cause out there. But we continue to work networks and make I think real significant progress in our major giving program, which Joel
Yeah.
talked about how important it is, right? And so we continue. It's partly around raising that awareness of ataxia,
Yeah.
right? And we've talked a little bit about that. So
All right. Thanks, guys. Final question. Lauren is coming to you. Ataxia Canada does not have any trials. How can we participate in NAF trials?
So there are trials that are taking place in Canada. In fact, quite a number of drug companies begin their trials in Europe and Canada before moving to the US, especially gene silencing trials. We list on our website, we list trials that happen in the US as well as in Canada and in other parts of the world. So we show information for as much as we can for any opportunity for any registrational trial or for any approved study, regardless of location in Canada or the US.
Thank you. And I think with that, we can wrap up for the day. I want to thank everyone that stuck with us this whole time. And thank you to
Steph, I have to break in here. I mean, for some reason, I didn't get to the two slides that talked about our great staff and our great board. I don't know how I missed those.
Oh,
My bad.
yeah, I kind of skipped
I
past
do
it.
want to
I still have
thank
it up. It's fine.
I do want to thank the amazing staff at NAF. You're seeing 6 of us. There's another 16 or 17 of us. And if we execute on our plan for 2026, there's going to be even more of us. We're excited about our work. And then to our board of directors, right? Every nonprofit in the US is governed by a board of directors. We have an extraordinary one. And they were a huge part of this strategic plan. We spent 3 long days with them in Minneapolis this summer, going through it and putting the finishing touches on it. So they are all volunteer. They dedicate hours and hours every month to our cause. And so thank you to them as well.
Thank you. And with that, thanks all for joining us from the various parts of the world that you did today and for learning more about NAF. We'll get this recording sent out very shortly. So
Thanks,
thanks for joining
everyone.
us.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.